Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to House Divided. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That's Chad Hastings. We're brought to you by the guys over at Texas Card House, specifically the new social club in North Austin, but also the Hijack Poker app. It's a little bit of like a Texas Card House takeover. But yeah, scan that QR code. Go play online poker right now. I just signed up for the noon $10 buy-in tournament, which I'll never win because I'm in the middle of doing this show, but I like to play. Anyway, I don't care. Play for real money. You got to be inside the state of Texas. It's the craze taking over the world like it did 15 years ago or so, or maybe even a little bit longer than that. I'm trying to remember when it was like all the rage until it wasn't. Chad, as we tell everybody to like, comment, subscribe to the page, jump into the Specs chat, do all those things that we love people to do. We're back to the portal. The portal discussion continues on. We're just days away from the portal opening, but I think there's a little bit of news on the Texas front. I think there's a little bit of news on the wide receiver Oklahoma front because I think they could be one of the schools competing with Texas in the market for wide receivers, and Texas won't be alone in the SEC of being a school looking for wide receiver help. Even an offensive lineman entered the portal, which may give us an idea of the type of things to be on the lookout. So here we are, still days away, but the portal conversation picking up heat.
Yeah, and that's the other thing we have to keep reminding everybody because there are there are a little bit of rules, but there really aren't a ton of rules for certain things. We have to keep reminding everybody that when we say portal window, it's the official time when you can get into the window, to the portal. You can come out of the portal whenever you want, but also catch to, I think what we're going to get into today a little bit, these guys can also let us know they're going to the portal.
If they really can. They can give the early indications of...
Right. So this is kind of like, again, back to the best analogy, which many coaches have made, free agency. We hear about this sometimes before the actual free agent, period starts. You hear that guys are talking to certain teams and they let things out or whatever. So I think that's part of what you're going to hear, so that when we get to the 16th, we're going to already have names set up. That's one thing we don't really have right now, because you don't have big coaching turnover like we had in past years. But I think we're going to start to see some names get sprinkled in even before we hit that starting point on the 16th.
Well, and I think that the one thing that everybody's going to understand about the portal as this gets started is that these are paid premium prices now. Mm-hmm. The one thing that we learned a year ago that I think we will know will exist this year for certain is that nothing comes cheap in the spring. It wasn't cheap last year on the defensive tackle front. It won't be cheap on the wide receiver front. And, I think it kind of comes with the territory. I think if Texas is going to be active, and it sounds like they are, they'll know that they won't be shopping at Dollar Tree, or they'll get Dollar Tree products. And look, I dig the Dollar Tree. You can get some deals, but I also know what I'm not getting at Dollar Tree when I walk in. So right. I think the first piece of conversation, it's not a guy that, quite frankly, is in the news, but he's a guy that's been talked about literally since the moment Texas signed Chad Scott from West Virginia to be the running backs coach. Jaheim White is their best running back. He is a guy that over the last 2 years has averaged 6.5 yards per carry, over 10 yards of reception. Not quite Bijan Robinson numbers, but better than Roschon Johnson numbers if you needed some perspective of where on the map that type of production sits. Nobody on the Texas roster currently, actually, I gave this stat to Chad earlier. If you take Jarrett Gibson, C.J. Baxter, and Quantravius Wisener, all three of them, their career averages as running backs at Texas, 4.8 yards per carry. So when we talk about, Jaheim White, would he upgrade the Texas running back position? Well, considering on this career, he averages nearly 2 yards per carry and at times twice as many yards per reception. Yeah, no, he would. But I checked with sources. So on the orange, we checked on the West Virginia side and on the Orange Blood side. On the West Virginia side, mum's been the word. If there's any displeasure or unhappiness or vibe that he's on the verge of leaving, because he told everybody when he came back to West Virginia that ultimately the reason why he didn't go into the portal was because of his relationship with Coach Scott. Then Scott left, and so it was real easy at that point to wonder on the West Virginia side. And full transparency, I did some homework. White was not one of the highest paid guys on the West Virginia roster a year ago. It looks like he was probably making less than $400,000 a year. And West Virginia did have some guys that were among the higher earners in the Big 12 a year ago. I think it's interesting, though, that when you look at the West Virginia list of guys that were among the highest paid, those guys have moved on. So I'm guessing that White will be a guy that gets his fair share of money.
Already got a bump?
I have to believe, yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think he would have to be in the portal. So West Virginia feels like he's, the interesting thing about him is he basically missed the majority of the spring as well. He missed the end of last season with a hamstring injury. I haven't seen media reports that have really gone into this specifics of the injury, but it might still be lingering effects from that. They've said it's not a big deal. We don't think it's major. It's kind of Ryan Wingo-ish, where it's like, well, we kind of know what we have. If we get him back, great, but we're not going to push it. But he hasn't been super active in the spring, which if you were going to leave for the portal is the kind of thing that you might do. It's like, I don't feel great, coach. Hamstring a little bit,
Yeah. You do a little bit of Peter Griffin on the sidewalk. And then you don't practice. Yeah.
But in talking to Texas sources, and I had both Anwar and I reaching out to people just to kind of get a vibe for things in the sense that we have, at least as of right now, is they feel really good about their running back position. Not great, but they like it 1 through 5, whatever the hell that means. And so all quiet on the Jaheim White front, which, there are going to be people who disagree with me about the quality of the Texas running back room, and the Texas coaches might be among those people. I only look at what we know. And what we know is that all 3 of the top returning backs on the roster are career sub 5.0 guys. They're not big play weapons. You haven't replaced what Jaden Blue left with when he departed. I think it's a room that needs upgrading, but I don't know that the Texas coaches agree. And look, I will confess that if you were to rank the needs of this team in the portal, that maybe if you need to prioritize wide receiver and tight end, and you feel like, well, we could use a running back, but we also have to be mindful of what our priorities are, maybe that's fair. I will say on the wide receiver front, Chad, something really, I think, interesting happened yesterday that I don't think most Texas fans are aware of. I think it's a subtle thing. But
Okay.
There's a wide receiver out of Central Oklahoma named Terrell Davis. Not Terrell, Terrell. And last year, he played at COU. Do you know who that is?
COU, like not Colorado, but not what's a COU? No, Central Oregon, Central Ohio. I don't know.
Central Oklahoma.
Oh, Central Oklahoma. Okay, sorry.
He is from Choctaw, isn't that how you say it? Choctaw,
Oklahoma.
Choctaw. That's where he's from originally.
Okay.
Last year, he was first in Division II with 1,609 yards. He was third in Division II with 15 touchdowns. I think that was in 11 games. 6 foot, 180 pounds. The early word is that Oklahoma's very much in the thick of things. What I read is he's on the verge of setting up a visit with Oklahoma. It feels like just the kind of player that Jim Nagy would have an eye on, right? New general manager at Oklahoma. What does he kind of specify in? What does he specialize in? Generally speaking, oftentimes it's under the radar guys. This would be a guy that absolutely would have been on the Senior Bowl watch list And it speaks once again to this thing that I keep pointing out this offseason. Texas and Oklahoma are rivals, but they're not really competing against each other. And I think this is another example of what Oklahoma is. Oklahoma and Texas have the same need, almost for really the same reasons. They like their young guys, but in terms of proven at the top, number one guys who are going to go get it and really carry the team this year, not a ton, honestly. So they're looking for wide receivers in the Division II ranks. And what were we talking about with Texas yesterday? Can they get a guy like Bryant Wesco to enter the portal from? Can they talk a legitimate big dog, proven alpha guy to come in and be that guy? And why this is so interesting to me is it's just another example for me of I think Oklahoma knows who they are now. And they can't out Texas, or out Georgia in the SEC. They're going to try a new way. And when a kid from Central Oklahoma from the Division II ranks enters the mix, whereas Texas, I think they're just going to go, nah.
Yeah. And to add to your point, Cody Carpentier in his Behind Enemy Lines column, I guess it was this week or last week, in Talking Oklahoma, brought up some comments about, is it Giovanni Gibson, I think is his name. They're counting on a guy from Arkansas Pine Bluff this year to really step up in addition to Burks. And
he's out for the year.
And be one of their guys. Wait, Burks is?
No.
Oh, Gibson
from Arkansas Pine Bluff or wherever he came from.
Oh, I didn't know he got hurt.
He suffered an injury Monday.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And now they're looking for – he was going to be their number one.
Yeah, that's what I was – okay, I didn't realize – I hadn't had that update. Okay, it's even more now. They got to go to find another D2.
So they were already in the market for wide receivers.
Damn, okay.
The guy they thought was the best they had suffered an injury this week, and I haven't seen the final diagnosis of that, but the anticipation is he will miss all, if not most, of the season.
Gotcha. And then what's this cat's name again? Terrell what now?
Not Terrell Davis. Terrell. Terrell.
Gotcha. Davis.
And look, it's possible that this guy is fantastic. But I think even Texas would say, you know what, our experience of these small school guys when we've gone after them is that they don't always hit. They went to San Jose State last year and got a corner, and that guy was one of the best guys in the WAC, if I'm not mistaken, wherever the hell San Jose State plays. And that guy didn't even get on the field. And they brought him in late thinking he would challenge for a starting spot, and then what they found was not so much. One of Tom Herman's last guys that he brought in was a corner out of McNeese State. And while that guy eventually was pretty good by the end of the season, that was Steve Sarkisian's year one. So Sark likes proven SEC kind of guys. If he can, if at all possible, he wants to get Isaiah Bond from Alabama and Adonai Mitchell from Georgia. They can't shop in the SEC in this window, but it makes me think that the Big Ten will be a conference that they look at. Certainly ACC or Big 12. They won't want to dip too far down in these ranks. And just one more name to throw out there, Chad. Yesterday, an offensive lineman entered the portal.
Okay.
And this is for me the kind of question we have to ask ourselves, okay? So Memphis offensive lineman Xavier Hill, he'd be like a grad senior.
Okay.
He's entered the portal. 6'4", 318, signed with LSU, and it was a high 3-star guy, but he was the number 5 player in Mississippi in the Rivals rankings in 2020. A lot of the SEC offered him out of high school. He transfers to Memphis. He's a 2-time American Athletic Conference like all conference offensive lineman and was first team all conference a year ago. He's played guard. He's played tackle. Does that guy make your offensive line at Texas better?
If he can give you some time at guard, probably, yeah.
I tend to agree.
Yeah.
The thing about him is he can play guard, he can play tackle. So in theory, he could be a starter for you at left guard or right tackle, depending on how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And at worst, maybe he's your first backup and he's your swing tackle and your swing guard.
And you're talking about all conference level. And I mean, I know it's that conference, but still an all conference level guy to be able to come in and help you out. Yeah.
And the thing that I think also I would point out, we know what is Kyle Flood like in his offensive lineman.
Big dudes.
He does. So if I were to tell you that this guy was 6'4", 300,
yeah,
I think we would go, he's probably going to be really good somewhere. But Kyle Flood would rather have a big fat dude than like a real good skinny guy. Xavier Hill, 6'4", 320, let's call him. I saw 318 was what he was listed in his most recent, I think, like he was listed at 324 in his Rivals database. He's still basically hovering in that weight. He's a big boy.
Yeah, that'll qualify, right? That's going to get Kyle Flood's attention. 320, 325?
I don't think you would outright dismiss him.
No.
But I think if you're Texas, he's exactly the kind of guy that you should kick the tires on. And more than that, Chad, if you have the scouting department in place that you need to have, this guy's already been evaluated. This guy literally is the picture perfect. What should we be looking for? Well, an all-conference guy in every, conference in America that's at the major level or close to the major level. Older guys are better because that means he's in and he's out and he's not necessarily taking up, blocking a path for a younger guy. He's blocking a path for a younger guy for 6 months with a younger guy that isn't ready to play. Otherwise, we wouldn't be going into the portal. So you're blocking a guy, but you're blocking a guy who's not ready. And then maybe next year he's ready and that guy is gone. What if you're Texas, Xavier Hill already needs to be thoroughly vetted. And if you have the right system in place, every guy like Xavier Hill already has a scouting report and you've already decided, would you have him or would you not? I think Texas is still in the reactionary, hey, there's a guy named Xavier Hill in the portal. Let's check him out. Is he good enough to play for us? It's that kind of reactionary approach towards what happens in the portal that I am an advocate of moving beyond and being so proactive that this guy's, whenever you see the Mel Kipers of the world and you just toss out a random, you're like, Joe Schmo from Arkansas Pine Bluff. And they're like, oh yeah, wide receiver. And they just start spouting off stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way Texas, from a personnel department inside the building, needs to be with every single guy in the country. Every single guy. And I think that's the wave of the future. And when you consider we talk about the portal is so big and so important, there can be no surprises. You have to be prepared for everything. You have to know every name. And look, maybe Texas does that. Maybe I'm reading the room wrong and they are way ahead of everybody on this. But I'm only saying that that's what needs to exist. I'm not saying it doesn't completely exist. But if Texas is as well oiled as they would have us believe, then they'll know exactly who this is and whether or not he fits what they do long before yesterday when he put his name officially in the portal.
All right, let's get started with some super chats. Google Scholar, I'm sorry it took a minute or two. $4.99 is the first one that comes in. Thank you for that. Who has the better path to impactful snaps in 2025, Derek Williams or Baxter? Also, does Chad practice CBO at home in solidarity with his Aggie brethren? Scholar, I don't know what you're talking about. Catch, you want to help me here? Is this an Aggie joke I don't know?
That was on Orange Bloods earlier today. Is that choke a bitch out?
Wow.
I think so.
Okay.
CBO apparently choke the bitch out is what it apparently stands for. And I guess that was the A&M defensive line motto. And Elko came out yesterday and said, you know, our new defensive line motto could be better.
Wow. So no, Google, I'm not practicing any of that at home. We'll move on to the first part of your question. Better path to impactful snaps, Derek Williams or CJ Baxter? That's an interesting question. Both guys coming off of injury.
I think they're pretty even. We know how Steve Sarkisian feels about CJ Baxter. And I'm telling you right now, Chad Scott, the new running backs coach, he probably knows now. Oh, as soon as he showed up, Sark was probably hitting him over the head with, hey, let me tell you about number 4. I know you, that was my guy. I recruited him. Maybe some promises have been made. Here's what you need to know. Kind of my fave. Just FYI. But I think Derek Williams, there's some thought that Derek Williams is the thing keeping Jelani McDonald from making the full-time move to the slot right now. And that either if Williams or somebody else takes the safety spot, that is the thing that will allow for the move of McDonald down to the nickel. And that just puts a lot of pressure on guys coming off of major injuries to expect that of guys. I'll say it's pretty even, though, Google. Push come to shove, I suppose I would say Baxter, because we know Sark loves CJ Baxter. Hell, he talked about him yesterday. So, or
if
2
everything's
days ago. So,
if everything's equal with the injuries, I would agree with you. I'd lean Baxter just a little bit.
Just a smidge.
Yep. Google Scholar, thank you for that. Couple other quick chats here. Oh, Chris Bennett, play the Portal Combat clip. Catch, you want to see the old one? You want to see it? We obviously don't have a new one. We don't know who's in there yet, but oh yeah, here you go. Get over here! Just gets you moving, doesn't it? Come on. Get you in a Willie Nelson frame of mind. I like it.
I just feel like I hope like a Jaheim White's on the fence. That may have pushed him back to Morgantown. He's like, oh, shit, I can get that here.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have Blake, the super producer, jump in and get us a new one as soon as we see some names popping up. Thank you, Chris Bennett, for the request there. And earlier, Tex Blonde did jump in and remind us, yes, like Ketch said, no SEC transfers either. Let's all remember that. Even if Ryan Williams decided he was tired of things in Tuscaloosa, he cannot go anywhere in the SEC and play this season. So
what if, hear me out.
Okay.
What if Ryan Williams transferred to SMU? It doesn't matter. Any non-SEC school. And they announced him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He shows up and then transfers from there. I guess the window would be closed. So you wouldn't be able to do it.
You're trying to get him to transfer out and then back in before it closes?
I'm just trying to figure out what would be the way. Couldn't, because, David Bailey's at Texas Tech right now. He's practicing.
Right. So technically he went from the ACC to the Big 12, but you're wondering
he could technically still enter the portal in 5 days.
Because he could portal and go back to the ACC, or he could go to the SEC, go wherever he wants. Yeah.
So I'm just using David Bailey as the example. Could you quick transfer, first day of the portal, you show up somewhere, and now you're officially a Texas Tech Red Raider, right?
I think it'd be great, Catch, if Greg Sankey and his office had to clarify the rule and say, just to be clear, if you leave one SEC school, even if you transfer 8 different times,
How can they control that?
You can't end up at an SEC school and play.
It would be the all-time swindle
It really would.
If David Bailey had been from Ole Miss and then transferred it to Texas Tech and practiced with them, he's been on the practice field this week.
Yeah.
And then transferred in like 6 days.
They've got to get that rule changed. They've got to change that rule because, you know, and it's funny, you brought it up as kind of a joke. That might be what changes it, Catch. Like, really, that might be what changes it. If a guy walks through the math of it and some dude ends up like, well, let's see, I'm at Missouri, but I want to be at Auburn. Can I do it in one cycle? Yeah, I think I can. I'm going to convince this other school in a G5 to take me, and then I'm jumping in the portal when it opens, and then I'm going to Auburn.
You transfer to a school that doesn't have portal rules.
Right. Let's see what.
At which point then you can go anywhere.
Yeah. Let's see what Sankey says about that. All they remember is my last school anyway. Hey, where'd that kid come from? Memphis, Navy.
He did a session in the summer at Blinn. He's officially a Blinn junior college running back, and we know the eligibility doesn't count in junior college.
Where was he? A&M, wait for it, Commerce, boom. So he's going from A&M to Auburn?
No. You ain't trying.
Nope, A&M Commerce to Auburn. See how he did that? You see there? He went around that is funny. We'll keep an eye out for those because that's going to be fun. We're sitting here, 6 days away from the portal, talking about starting with the Jaheim White discussion and whether or not Texas might be interested. Feels like maybe that's a no. We'll get into some more of that. Thank y'all for jumping in to the Specs chat. Let's also thank some of our great partners around here, and let's just hit that Deep Eddy vodka tasting room. Yep, they're open. They're ready to go. We're on Thursday in the 12 o'clock hour. That means they're ready. 12 to 7 on Thursdays, Friday and Saturday, 11 to 7. Sunday, 12 to 5. There's all those cocktails that I've showed you before. And just to get you in a pineapple frame of mind, this recipe is on their website right now. So if you want to whip up their version of the pina colada with the Deep Eddy pineapple vodka, go get yourself a bottle of that and get it done, or just get out to the tasting room and they will make you up a badass cocktail with the pineapple. Check them out, Deep Eddy vodka tasting room. So Catch, we were talking about Jaheim White, or, you know, running back possibility. You brought up some great points with him, and I'm trying to think about this sort of from his perspective, right? What would be because you got to go through all the process of getting out of West Virginia. You were comfortable there, but you have already brought up Scott. But someone in the chat also brought up the Neil Brown angle as well. His former running backs coach and head coach are both, you know, on this, I guess, staff, you might put in quotes, but we know they're both here. One is an analyst, one is the running backs coach. And I wonder how much of a pull that is. But also, Catch, I look at these kind of numbers. His carry numbers, 109 2 years ago and 149 this past year. You know how many Wisner had last year? 226. So if I'm Jaheim White and I'm thinking, man, I just want to take my profile and crank it up a little bit. I got two coaches I'm already comfortable with, and I got a head coach that pumps out 1,000-yard backs, even when it doesn't feel like he has one. Steve Sarkisian's like a Vegas magician with 1,000-yard backs. I don't see how he could have 1,000-yard. Whoop, and it's just like comes out of his sleeve. So if I'm Jaheim White, I don't know. It's just a discussion I would be interested in having with all of that on the plate.
Well, and, you know, why would you even – I mean, if you're Jaheim White and you have an opportunity to go to Texas and the money is even equal. Now, one of the things that you can't completely know about, and I will remind everybody, he's not a grad senior. And the older these guys get, the tougher it is to get them to transfer in, because not all credits transfer. Right. You've got a guy who might be 9 hours away from graduating at West Virginia, and then he transfers to Texas, and all kinds of stuff is messed up. So it is a little more complicated than Jaheim White can just do whatever the hell he wants to and go to Texas if he wanted to. There are some added dynamics that have to fit in. again, he's an older guy who will be an upperclassman, a senior this year, but he's not a grad senior. I think he's a fourth-year senior. So I think he'd need to graduate, quite honestly, or run the risk of it just being really tricky. Because I don't know if people know this, but West Virginia academically is not Texas. So what you don't get to do is transfer over 110 credits from West Virginia and then one semester later get a degree from Texas. That's just not how it works. Not even for football players.
Yeah. And you definitely pointed that out multiple times. I think it's an important thing to.
It came up with Bakuba. They weren't completely sure when Andrew Bakuba was coming out whether or not it would line up. They figured it out, but it wasn't like, oh, it's nothing, he'll be fine. It wasn't like that either.
Right. Once you've graduated and become the grad transfer, things get a lot easier. But as you've stated, when you're close but not there, that's a big deal. That is definitely something to keep an eye on. Catch, we haven't mentioned it yet. Let's mention it because the chat wants us to mention it. Tex Blonde says kicker, kicker, kicker. Apparently, Texas State's kicker has indicated he's hitting the portal, and a lot of the folks in the chat are interested. His name, I believe, is Mason Shipley. And let's see. I'm seeing Liberty Hill as the home.
One of 26 a year ago.
Grows a watch list, all Sun Belt 2023, and apparently started out at Oklahoma State. Do I have that right? Am I seeing that correctly? Yeah. At Oklahoma State to start with, but it looks like didn't have a lot of playing time there and ends up at Texas State. So
I don't know that they're going to Texas State for a kicker. It is not the same thing as kicking at Texas. It's not the same thing as now. I'm not saying that they won't kick the tires on it. Keep in mind, they need to lose one of their kickers. I mean, that has to happen.
Right. Can't have three of them.
So somebody's got to go. And then I suppose then you'll wait and see what happens from there. But, and if I think you kick the tires on this, but you know, that guy at Texas State was a little better than 80%. I don't know the numbers of where he was from 40 yards out or 50 yards out or how good he is on kickoff. So I got to be honest, like I can't speak to the quality of this guy. I just know that they don't typically like Texas does not. If that were Oklahoma, it'd be like, oh yeah, this is where they like to shop.
Yeah. Catch, I'm looking at stats here. I'll just throw them real quick, but see 53, 55 on extra points, 15 of 19 field goals, 60-yarder against Sam. 2 of 3 on 50 plus. So, and apparently it's a kicking family. Both brothers kick. Kids originally from Plano, but then Liberty Hill was where he went to high school. And so
I mean, it'd be foolish not to look. I just wonder if they will think that there's potentially a better option available. I can't stress enough, if they're really doing their job, they know who's going into the portal.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And, you know, Chris Bennett throws out a great question here. I was just about to get into it. Who's the starting kicker, Burt or Stone? I mean, we all know what happened towards the end of the year. So if you and I, Catch, are asking them, if we could put Truth Serum Sark on the table today, what would he tell us? Like, Coach, are you going to believe in one of those guys to hit that kick for you in Columbus? Or are you thinking something else? Like, what would he tell us?
I don't think he would tell us anything. I think he would say the job was basically a coin toss at the end of the season, and we need one of those guys to be better than they were a year ago. And you know, I don't know that's happened.
Yeah, and then the question will be, you know, in terms of the kickers that end up in the portal, we'll obviously be watching it very closely on those 10 crazy days starting the 16th. Is the Texas State kicker going to be your best option in those 10 days? Or are we going to see some bigger names? You know, to Sark's point yesterday at the press event, or a couple days ago at the press event, when he kept saying, hey, we can't control when they get in. They have to do that. They have to opt into it. So we'll see, you know, who's out there. But yeah, Mason Shipley will be a name that maybe Texas fans are kind of interested in. And Texas State fans are probably sad they lost him. And he did start at Oklahoma State briefly by start, I mean he kicked in their spring game, then transferred to Texas State. So
I have to believe he knows he'll have some options.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, he's definitely got a chance to take
have had people reach out and get a sense for what the market will look like should they enter. So again, if Texas is doing this correctly, they know who's in, and they won't be something like the Texas State kicker will neither surprise them nor probably cause them to swoop into action.
Yeah. We got that super chat, Scholar. I'll get to it in just a second. Also, we got buy or sell coming up. Here's your preview. I'm going to ask Jeff Ketchum for an impersonation in buy or sell. You're going to want to be here for that.
Are you going to make me go Australian?
Nope, not Australian, but you will be asked. You're not required, obviously. You could just sell, but I'm going to see if I can get you to do an impersonation. We'll see if that works. Before we get this super chat, I also want you to tell the folks, Catch, about Rogue Shop. And according to one of our own, the great Cody Carpentier, he's taking his first journey into the world of Rogue Shop. Catch, do you have any advice for Cody or anyone that is just getting into Rogue Shop for the very first time?
Enjoy. I mean, the best thing I can tell you is scan the QR code, and when you go to the website, they've got a chat section. Someone is always waiting to answer your questions and point you in the right direction. Let either Richard or Shar be that person for you. They want to make sure that you're happy. They want to make sure that you tell your friends. They want you to make sure that you come back. So, yeah, that'd be the advice I give. Look, Texas is home for legal CBD, THC, and so much more. We hope it stays like that. But the bottom line is they've got great product. They're great people. They're orange bloods who bleed orange and love Texas football. Why wouldn't you go to Rogue Shop for your needs? Check them out today. Don't take my word for it. Take your own word for it. Go check it out. Find yourself some products, and then you'll find out what all the hype's about.
There you go. And Cody Carpentier, if you're out there, and if you've already started down that highway, let us know. Let us know how it went.
Well, he said he purchased, so I don't know if he's received yet.
Oh, I see. Maybe I thought he sent a picture of it literally in his hand, but I might be wrong about that. But we will wish him all the best. I can't wait to hear the report on that. Let's squeeze this super chat in. A 199er. Thank you, Google Scholar. At this point, why recruit a high school kicker at all? Catch, are you in this mindset? This is you here?
Amen. Amen.
Okay.
For sure.
Just look for those guys that have already started to develop and have already done something. Okay.
I mean, you should never need to take a chance ever again. Let Texas Tech be the school that takes a chance on a high school kicker. And if he ends up being any good, you take him from him.
Yeah, Catch, there of all the positions that should be taking advantage of portal, kicker and punter. Like, just think of the opportunities that are out there to take those steps. If you are a badass first couple years in college and you end up on the Groza list as a kicker, you're on the guy list as a punter, that type of dude, but you're not at a team that's playing like big time impactful games, but you'd like to be. Oh my God. Those dudes need to get some representation and need to get the word out, because you can make some serious moves and go punt or kick for a big time program and really make a name for yourself.
Well, and you're not making any, like the kid at Texas State's not making any NIL.
Yeah.
So
that too.
This is how you make some NIL if you're him. Go kick for somebody that will allow you to make some NIL money.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be there. Whatever that money is for them, whatever the kicker, punter, area is, I think there's going to be a ton of opportunity out there. This one just caught my eye, Catch. This one may cause you to look down. I keep hearing the very weird opinion by you guys that the running back room is easily worse than last year, and I'd love an explanation because that's a false narrative. CJ is the best back, and he's back. Yeah, but I knew it'd get a look. I don't think he's frozen, folks. I think he's contemplating.
CJ Baxter is when he was healthy and not coming off of a major leg injury, which he's not recovered from yet, he averaged 4.8 yards per carry. He's the best back. Okay. What does that mean? Because the best back in 2023 when he played, being the best back meant that he was pretty average in a lot of games, and then occasionally against a team here and there, he was okay. But then he wrecked his leg. I don't know what to say to people who are like, hey, that's a false narrative. The guy who had the mangled leg that didn't play a year ago, he's coming back. He's the best. I mean, if he averaged 6.8 yards per carry as a freshman, I'd be with you. I'd be like, you know what? Doesn't matter that he tore his ACL. They had to rebuild his knee.
Or if he played at all last year. Did he? I mean, he didn't play at all.
No.
Right? I mean, yeah, that is weird.
Look, Jaden Blue, here's the thing. Jaden Blue is the most explosive running back on the roster a year ago. If nothing else, if you think that CJ Baxter is the best running back that the team had a year ago and 2 years ago and whatever you think, Jaden Blue is the most explosive guy. That element of the position has not been replaced. And CJ Baxter with a fucking jetpack on isn't as fast and explosive as Jaden Blue. So that means the position is less than it was a year ago. Fallacy!
Wow, fallacy. I like that. Oh, here's your report from Cody Carpentier. Got them Delta 9 nerd bites in the mail last night. Tried first time last night. Small dose, though, so no instant analysis. Okay, fair enough.
Follow the instructions, Cody, on those, just so you know.
Our man ATX Bates would tell you to follow the instructions, Cody. Please make sure you do that. Sounds like you're being a good student early on. That is a good idea. Cody also
did. I got instructions and I actually ignored them.
You just started popping gummies, huh?
He was like, oh, just don't take 2. What did I do? 2.
You took 2.
And I took 2 of the higher dosage ones because I wasn't reading the label correctly.
Come on.
It was not good, Chad.
Cody also added Baxter's taking longer to recover from a knee than Clark is with an Achilles. Bump up your worry meter to Matt. Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, my thing is you have to treat CJ Baxter like found money. Derek Williams, too. This is not me being I'm treating every guy coming off of a major season-ending injury from a year ago as give those guys a little bit of grace.
Yeah, I'm still skeptical when I hear how good Clark looks. I listened to Sark talk about it this week, and I thought, really off an Achilles, really? I'm even a little. I would be a little skittish there in terms of thinking about it. You got multiple guys that are coming back off of these things. We're just going to need to see it before you can trust it. Thank you guys for throwing these chats in. Well, we didn't get this one. Thank you, Mike, for a $10 super chat. Since it's Masters Week, what position would ex-Longhorn golfers be playing this week if they played football? Bonus, what's Tiger's position? Is Scotty Scheffler big enough to be like a tight end?
He kicker. Punter. He's got a Richmond McGee vibe.
Scheffler's. There you go. What about Tiger? What's Tiger to you?
I feel like Tiger's an inside receiver.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe a little jet sweep or two.
Yeah, he's like a Marvin Harrison type.
Before the injuries, jet sweep. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Jordan Spieth, kicker. That Jordan Spieth's got to be a kicker, right?
He's the manager. He's Chris Jesse.
See, I wasn't going to do that to him. Come on now. Don't do that. Mike, thank you for that super chat. We appreciate all of you jumping in. We do have buy or sell coming up. Thank you, crawling up towards 500 in that Specs chat. Let's give Specs their love. They are celebrating an anniversary. They got a lot of stuff for you. Here it is.
Have you heard the news? Specs is turning 63, and we're celebrating you. Whether you're looking for whiskey, canned cocktails, or wine, Specs has it all with Texas-sized savings all month long. Specs. Cheers to save.
Also, while we have a second catch, let's talk a little bit of baseball, specifically another NIL baseball fundraiser that's going on. Shout out to our guy Tyler for throwing us a graphic together. It's back. The Daily and Black UT Baseball NIL fundraiser silent auction. Get over to orangebloods.com. The auction, as you see here, it starts today, and we're talking here on a Thursday. So it starts on Thursday. It runs through Sunday. Autographed items and experiences are up for auction. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. And as we've been telling you every single day as you're watching the show, that QR code in the lower left, join OB here. It's the easiest way to get in. You can sign up and let that be the reason. You're signing up because you love Texas baseball. You want to follow what's going on and you want to help with a little NIL, help the NIL deal with another silent auction. And Catch, I saw some cool items. Already on that list today.
Yeah, we've got an experience of you can go to Terry Black's barbecue with the Orange Blood staff in August, and we'll talk football and, just do the whole 9 yards. There is an autograph, Earl Campbell, Ricky Williams, Vince Young, Colt McCoy, 16x20 print that's gorgeous. It's autographed in a felt tip. It's amazing looking. There's a mini helmet with Earl, Vince, Ricky, and Colt. There's a Ricky Williams smoke weed every day.
Catch, when I saw that one, that was the one that spoke to me. Wax like, wait, I can get a Ricky Williams mini helmet that says smoke weed every day. Like, that is the best. I was in a store one time. I saw a Dolphins helmet signed by Ricky, and it said the same thing. And I was like, that's brilliant. I love that Ricky started signing that on some stuff.
Yeah. So, and there's just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Check it out. It's at orangebloods.com. You got to be over there to get it done. Thanks to Daily and Black for helping out there. Man, Catch, we were talking about it.
I think might be the coolest item, though, Chad.
Sure.
It's the 1983 Texas football team autograph football. Over 100 players. Damn. I've never seen anything. It's from 42 years ago.
They got 100 guys to sign a ball?
Yes.
I'm with you. I've never seen. The most I've ever seen would be maybe 20 or 30.
I mean, it is the 1983 team with all of the names that you would expect to see, from Robert Studdard to Jerry Gray to, just on and on and on, all the names. That was one of the most famous Texas teams with all those NFL players. Rick McIver. I'm just looking at random names right now.
Mm-hmm.
Go check it out. Go to Orange Bloods, check out the items. All money outside of the initial cost. My daughter and my son donated Texas baseball team autograph schedule and an autographed Jim Schlossnagle baseball that they donated to the cause. So, yeah.
Yeah, and what a time to be following Texas baseball, as whatever the good version of this first season with Schlossnagle that Texas fans thought it could be, Catch. Oh, my God. Talk about exceeding expectations. They are just absolutely rolling. Sweep Georgia last week, going to Kentucky this week. If you love Texas baseball, you want to help them out, NIL. Not to mention the fact that the scholarship number is about to change. And baseball is going to be in a very different place than it always was. It was always hamstrung a little bit in terms of scholarships and those possibilities. Now you're going to be able to help them out if you like. Also, quick note, if you love Texas baseball, 2 of those games are actually on regular SEC network this weekend. Saturday, 11 a.m., Sunday, 11 a.m., both on SEC network. There's obviously been a lot streaming that we've been telling you about. You got to have SEC Plus, but these are regular SEC network games on Saturday and Sunday. They also play at Kentucky Friday at 5:30. That one's a streaming game, but they are absolutely smashing in a way that I don't know that many would have expected. But shout out to them. And again, shout out to Daly and Black for helping out with the silent auction. All right, Catch, anything else portal-wise you want to hit before we buy or sell?
No, I just wanted to mention the goal is we're over 42,000. The idea is that Daly and Black is raised for Texas baseball NIL. The goal by the end of the season, because we're going to do these every weekend, all the way during the baseball season, the rest of the way through, is to get over $100,000 in NIL money for Texas baseball. That's Daly and Black's goal.
Nice.
And I had somebody equate that to that's 4 players.
Okay. That's a good way to think about it.
That'll get you 4 players is what I was told, the going rates and stuff. So
that's cool.
If you're wondering what does that mean, it means 4 players or maybe 1 really good player. I don't know, but the impact that it will have on the Texas baseball NIL fund, pretty significant compared to, if we raised $100,000 for the football program, while that would help, that doesn't buy a lot of pinky toes right now.
Yeah. Honesty in college athletics. I love it. I love it. Shout out to everybody who's making it happen. Just continue to make it happen even better. All right, Catch, you want to go first or second in buy or sell today?
My questions aren't awesome, so I'll go first because I think you may have just better questions than I do this. Buy or sell number 1. Texas has a – come on, pop on up there. Oh, it was doing it, Chad, but on a delay.
Yeah, I saw it for a second. There it is.
Texas has a scholarship running back right now on the roster that will average more than 5.2 yards per carry in 2025.
Oh, man. 5.2. It's a pretty big jump. You know what? I'll be optimistic and say buy. Say sell. I was going to buy it. No. I was going to sell it. I'll buy, even though the offensive line lost what it lost. Guys coming off of injuries, but I'm going to say Arch helps to raise all boats, whatever that is. Yeah,
the tide is the tide that lifts all boats.
Tide's going to lift all the boats. So yes, I'm going to say one of those backs because of all of it ends up at 5.2. And if Sark's watching, I'm going to say it's going to be C4, Coach. I believe in him too. Not as much as you do, but I'm going to say it's C4. How about that?
Buy or sell number 2. You think Texas A&M looks like an 8-4 type of team as things currently stand?
I mean, I mean, it's probably a buy-ish. If I really dug into it today, I might try to argue my way towards 9, but good Lord, if they couldn't figure it out last year, this is probably where we need to start them, and they need to prove that they're better than that. So, yeah, it's probably a buy.
Oh, well, apparently I screwed up. Buy or sell number 3. I'll just move on to this question. Okay. Your Braves are 2-9.
Is that right?
They'll be okay and make the postseason.
Oh, jeez.
I think they will. That's why I asked the question. As ridiculous as it sounds to say that, I think the Braves will still win 90-something games, even though they're 2-9. And I think they'll be okay. Do you think they'll be okay?
It is such it's such a numbers game. For right now, I'll play the math and sell. I hope you're right. And there's certainly talent on that team, but baseball shows you over the years when you start really bad, you don't usually get to climb out of it. And there's a lot they've got to figure out. I know there's extra playoff teams now, but right now I'll sell it. It's such a bad start. I'm going to say they don't quite get out of it.
I was wrong. I thought I had 5 questions and I don't. So I'm going to ask this next one without it going up on the marquee. Buy or sell number 4. Mm-hmm. Texas baseball gets a sweep this weekend. They keep the good times going.
I'll sell that. I'll say they win the series, but they'll drop one of them. It feels like a series where everyone will assume the sweep. I think it's the opposite of what's been happening. People probably been assuming the win and they get the sweep. I think it'll be the opposite this weekend. They'll just assume that they're a sweep machine. Something will happen. Baseball's a crazy game. I say they win the series, but they won't sweep.
That's how I felt when they went to Missouri.
Exactly. And that's the same
and
feeling
they got
I have.
But I just kept thinking,
Yeah, come on. Right?
It's the SEC on the road. Like, these things happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And finally, this may be, well, I'll let you decide what this is. It's a game of hotter than.
Okay.
NFL Wags edition. I guess it
like
wouldn't be Wags because wasn't that the women are married? It's like, I don't know. It's NFL Wives.
No, you're good. Wags is wives and girlfriends.
Okay. Buy or sell number 5. Brittany Mahomes. Hotter than Kelly Stafford.
Whew, I'm selling that one. I'm going to go with Stafford. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of just a badass smile, and I think Kelly smiles a little better than Brittany, so I'm going to go with Kelly. It's close though. They're both really pretty, really attractive. I'm not a Brittany Mahomes hater like some, but I'll sell and go with Stafford.
All right, well there you go. That's how I played buy or sell.
Because every time I see her and Matt in that bed trying to sell it to me, I kind of think about, we might need a new bed. Every time she smiles at me, I think, man, maybe we do need a new bed. All right, Catch, here we go. Let's start with Texas football. Buy or sell number 1 in the 3 big road games for Texas. You'll take 2-1 right now.
Buy. I guess.
Yeah, I won't even make you pick which. Just saying, hey, 2 out of the 3, Columbus, Athens, and Gainesville.
No, I get it. I'll go buy for now.
Yeah, I'm kind of there as well. Catch, let's go to Augusta. Buy or sell number 2 at the Masters. I'll give you Scotty or Rory on one bet and the field on the other, and you'll take Scotty or Rory.
I'll go buy. Scotty's tied for first early on in day 1. It's usually really important to be. I think I saw a stat that was like nobody in the last 20 years was outside the top 10 after day 1. That starting well at the Masters in recent times has really mattered. So I'm going to say that at least I'm going to say buy. Give me those 2. You can have the rest.
Yeah, if you can give me those 2 involved on Sunday, that would be even better. Are you the type that still watches the final round of the Masters? You going to be locked in on Sunday?
Oh, yeah. I wish I could watch it all day today and tomorrow, but it's the Masters, and they do weird shit. Like I can watch the 17th and 18th holes, but not.
I do like that. I like that we have – if you're really crazy about the Masters, you could go on a streaming service and watch Amen Corner all day. That's all you could watch if you wanted to. It's crazy. All right, Catch, back to our original discussion today. Buy or sell number 3, Texas will not get a running back in the portal.
Buy? I guess.
Kind of feels like it, right? I'd be surprised if they got one.
Well, because I don't think they're losing anybody. And I think that, I think that it may be the wild card is that they've got 2 true freshmen. Baxter's coming off of an injury. Wisener's not going anywhere. Gibson's not going. There's nobody to push out to then be able to say, well, we lost one. So, because what you'd like to do is lose your worst guy and then go get a best guy. And it's like, well, we weren't going to do anything.
Because he talked about numbers this week. By the numbers, assuming everybody's healthy, that room has the number he wants, right? Like
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fair. We'll keep an eye on it. 6 days away from the portal as we talk today, and no indication that Jaheim White of West Virginia is even interested in the portal, but we'll see. Catch, weird birthday for you. Buy or sell number 4. Steven Seagal is 73 today. You have a favorite Seagal movie?
Oh, buy. Under Siege is the best one. He has some other ones that have not aged well. Marked for Death or whatever that one is. And I've seen all of them at some point or another. But Under Siege is the best one.
Yeah.
It's legitimately just a great movie.
Yeah. That's the one that's the most movie of all his movies.
And that's about Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey and the fact that they had a legitimate star cast in that those actors lifted that movie up, and Steven Seagal was along for the ride.
He was getting pulled along like he was water skiing. All right, Catch, and finally, here comes your impersonation opportunity. Buy or sell number 5. Paul Bearer would have been 71 years old today, and the most sincere rest in peace goes out to the great Paul Bearer. Catch, you can give me a Paul Bearer impersonation.
I don't know. It's the best I could do is when he makes that face,
Wow. Okay. Of all the things I thought you would do, I never thought you would interpret it that way and not make a sound. That's incredible. You did it. Yeah, well done. That's a buy. I just figured I was going to get sound out of you, and it didn't happen. You just gave me the look. Well done. That's impressive.
In my head, I can't even think of what he sounds like at the moment.
Yes, you can, Jeff.
Okay.
Ketchum. You know.
Okay. I changed my mind. Now I can hear it.
My favorite thing about Paul Bearer was how he would say the name of whoever the Undertaker was facing. So it was always Savage, shake the snake. That was my favorite part.
All right, buddy. It's 1:00.
All right. Thank y'all for liking and subscribing and getting those notifications. Like it on the way out if you didn't like it on the way in. Football with Friends at 6. Old Fashioned tomorrow morning at 9. And we're back tomorrow for a Friday edition at noon. Until then, we're house divided.